There's been a massive shift. People care about brands with values. And I think it's like consistent activism that really influences buying decisions now.
Hi Isobel, thank you for coming.
Hiya.
Do you want to say your name, age, and where you're from?
Yeah, so I'm Isobel, or Izzy Cowell. I'm 21 years old. I'm from Vista.
What are you working on right now?
So I currently work on personal branding. Imagine social media marketing, but for people rather than companies.
Sure.
So instead of me doing the LinkedIn page for Gymshark, I would do it for people that work at Gymshark, for example.
Yeah.
And I also do it for myself. So I've got LinkedIn, which is kind of my main platform, almost at 20K, hopefully by the end of the week.
Nice one.
And then I also have Dear Future Marketer as well on Instagram, because I think it's really important to have kind of different communities for different purposes. Dear Future Marketer is basically teaching people how to do their own personal branding on LinkedIn. And that one's really cool as well. That's only been going for 3-4 months now. I've built a really great community on there. So yeah, and then fingers crossed, TikTok is coming the next month. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
21-year-old, I always thought that LinkedIn was a platform for all people, right?
Yes.
Did you think it's changed and why it changed? And do you think it's been maybe something related to like, you know, the diaspora or something from Facebook, like everyone is leaving Facebook and going back to LinkedIn a little bit more? I
think a big part of it, one, is I realised other people were doing it. I saw other creators on the platform and they were posting really cool stuff that wasn't the classic, I'm so excited to get this job, and just a really paragraph. They did really interesting stories, and I think as well, with like we were saying, like that kind of whole like thing, oh, it's just a career, it's just for professionals. I think there's a really, really big transformation at the moment where people are realising you can be professional and you can have a career and you can still be a human being. Like, it's not this whole thing anymore where it's like, you have to go to work, you can't show any personality at work, who you are with your friends, who you are at work are completely different. If you have mental health issues, don't bring it to work. If you've got family issues, if something really bad happens to a family member, don't bring it to work. That's not a thing anymore. People are actually starting to talk about themselves as people at work, which I think is a really, really cool movement. And I think that's why there has been that transition.
I feel the passion. Your voice changed.
Everyone needs to get on LinkedIn.
Yeah, so I was checking your profile and I found it seems that you're very passionate about anxiety, mental health in general. And it seems that for someone that accomplished so much, at the same time, you have to deal with anxiety, and you still do. I deal with anxiety as well, all the time. So
my anxiety is kind of weird. When I'm by myself, I am the biggest anxious wreck. I have had days, especially, I think remote working is great. I think I've been able to start a lot of my own personal stuff. I've been able to do stuff like this in the middle of a Wednesday because of remote working. But I also think that for me, I find being by myself really, really hard, and I'm the biggest imposter syndrome perfectionist you will ever meet. When it comes to work, if I don't feel like I'm doing something perfect, a lot of the times I get it where I physically can't work sometimes. And luckily now I've found ways to kind of get over that. For example, I started this new thing, which everyone thinks is ridiculous, but I start working at 5:30 in the morning, which sounds, why would you do that? For me, I know if I can get 2 or 3 hours work done before the work day starts, I will not panic the rest of the day because there's not that, oh my goodness, there's not that pressure to do work, because no matter what, I've done 3 hours work already. But no one's emailing me, no one's messaging me on LinkedIn, no one's asking me to do engagement on my LinkedIn or my clients' LinkedIns or anything like that. And it's helped so much. But I think, as I was saying earlier, I think it's really, really important to talk about mental health beyond just burnout in the workplace.
if I had to describe the guy in the picture in 3 words, what would you say?
Okay, he's looking to the future, I think, starters.
Yeah, future looking.
I think optimistic. And I think ready to take action.
Is anyone else that we should consider to be the face of the brand beside him?
So I come from a lot of Gen Z marketers. I'm a massive advocate for kind of having that more transparency and not having it as polished. So I think we should go down more of the route where we have people like Ben Francis.
Gotcha.
Or we have, for example, Grace Beverley. Those people that are kind of younger and have built, I'm obviously a big personal brand person, people that have those transparent online brands. People don't know the inside and out of Elon Musk. They don't know the inside and out of Mark Zuckerberg. but they see the day-to-day life of Grace Beverley on her Instagram stories. She posts what she's doing each day, and we see kind of vlogs of Ben Francis. I could not see myself as Elon Musk, but not that I could see myself as Grace Beverley, but she's more aspirational. And this sort of product should be aimed at people that want that kind of morning kind of boost to get them successful.
Do you think relatability is a big issue today in social media, especially when we consider, as you said, Grace Beverley or Elon Musk or whatever we call it, influencer?
Yeah, I think people now, there's been a massive shift, and we can see this in a lot of actual social media marketing as well. People care about brands with values. And I think there's a lot that we can see as well now where it's performative activism, where we see brands only celebrate LGBTQ plus communities with a rainbow t-shirt when it's Pride Week, and we only see companies have black creators or support small black businesses when it's Black Lives Matter, when that movement...
Oh, it's all blue and yellow now, right?
Yes, exactly.
It's all Ukraine.
Exactly, and whereas rather than being consistently being like, we support different groups, I think there are certain brands that do it really well. I think lounge underwear do it really, really well, where they consistently have different body types, people that look different. It's not the same, are those two models different people? It's not like that at all, and they showcase their products. You can click so you can look at different sizes of different women who look like you wearing their products, and I think it's like consistent activism, and people care about that now, and I think that is actually really influences buying decisions now.
Let's say you want to have a superpower from any superhero you can think of, what would it be?
I have always said from like a young age that I wish that I could stop time, but I kept going.
Oh.
So everyone else freezes.
It's like Sabrina.
Yes.
Is it Sabrina the Witch thing?
Sabrina Teenage Witch thing. I'm 21 years old, I have all the time in the world, but there still feels like this rush. And it feels like I can't have time for myself sometimes because...
Where are you rushing to? That's the question. You said you're rushing, so where are you going?
I think that's the kind of community that I've got myself into since graduating has been full of hustlers, like entrepreneurs that are 21 years old, or literally even like 25-year-olds I see, and they've got these big companies, they're working with massive different companies and things like that, and I feel like I have to do that, which was never in my plan as well. I think I've definitely been influenced by the people that are surrounding me, and I think there is that feeling that I have to own a business by the time I'm 26, which is crazy, or I have to reach this many followers on this platform, so I have to be posting this many times a week, even on top of a full-time job.
Do you find yourself when you scroll, doom scrolling I call it, on LinkedIn, and after like I think 30 seconds to a minute you start kind of feeling shit about yourself?
Yes.
Does it happen to you?
Yes, I'm a hypocrite in this sense. I work in social media. I think it offers loads and loads of opportunities. I would not be where I am without social media. I think it allows people to start businesses at a young age and get loads of opportunities. But I also don't like social media in a lot of sense. And I've got a lot of friends that have deleted Instagram for a couple of weeks or deleted TikTok, and they feel so much better. And I can't do that because it's my job.
What is the solution? Because I'm the same as you. I feel like a hypocrite. I don't like social media. I think it makes people feel miserable themselves.
One thing that a lot of people can do, and not necessarily people that work in social media, but other people, is limit your time on social media. And I try to do it as well. I don't go on Instagram. I don't go on my personal Instagram anymore. I have Dear Future Marketer, and I go on there to look at other people's marketing pages and stuff for engagement purposes, just inspiration because I like their content. But I don't spend my time scrolling on my personal Instagram anymore, because if I'm not working on social media, I don't like to be on social media. So I think limiting its impact is really important. And I think as well, just people being more transparent online is really important. But I think with that, like I said, I try and be really transparent, but I still feel like on my page, even though I've had photos of me crying on my page, I've talked about anxiety, I've talked about fear of graduating, I've talked about imposter syndrome, and I still look like I have it together. And so I think that is that kind of limiting that constant gratification that you get online and being able to get out into your own life and really look inwards on yourself rather than constantly comparing yourself to other people, because they don't have it together. It's just social media makes it look like that.
Yeah, makes sense. if I give you like 40 grand, 40,000 pounds, and you have to start a business, and you can't put them in your current business, what would you start?
A bookshop.
Oh wow, this was so quick.
It's because I spoke to my mum about this morning, because we were saying, what would we want to do if we could do anything? And we would say we'd want to have a bookshop, because I say working in social media so long. I'm 21 years old and only been working in it less than a year, but I think sometimes you just want to take a step back, and potentially I would get bored very quickly because there are parts of my life that I really enjoy, but sometimes I do just want to take a step back and own a bookshop and talk to customers that are regulars that come in all the time and serve coffee and make cupcakes for my bookshop.
Completely disconnected from social media,
yes.
moving back to really physical pages while everyone is moving to digital.
And talking to people that you're not trying to necessarily sell anything to, even though if I owned a bookshop, I'd want to have it where you talk to people about books, but you're not trying to sell them something to for intense profit. You just, have you thought about this book? Because they're talking about this in a really genuine way.
This boring question, but I ask it to everyone. What do you see yourself in 5 years? Or maybe we can shorten it up, 3 years. Because 5 years feels like so long for you.
Yes, quarter of my life. No, so my answer I give to this, right now, where I see myself in 3 years, is either two routes. Working as head of content, or kind of a head of role within a big company, or freelancing/coaching. But my goals for 6 months are different from the start of the year. So every single year I do goals for the year. My goals for this year was to get 5,000 followers on LinkedIn and 1,000 on Instagram, among a bunch of other things to do with mental health and friends and all this kind of stuff. I've now almost got 20,000 followers on LinkedIn and 3,000 followers on Instagram within 4 or 5 months. In January, little old January me would never have had this on her goals list. Going on podcasts would never have been on my goals list. Talking at universities would never have been on my goals list. So that's where now I see myself in 3 years. But if you ask me that again in 3 months' time, I'd probably have a very, very different answer, because I felt like my life and the opportunities that I can see available to me are so incredibly different. I would never have thought freelancing at all would have been an option a couple months ago at all. So yeah, changes.
You don't have to do it also all in once. You can try it out.
Okay.
I've got the start. The start is there. You have to arrive at the end. Oh my god, that was so quick. I think she won. That was very, very quick.
Check the links in the description to learn more about Popup. Hit the like button and subscribe to our channel.
So you came in today for a potential job interview.
Yes.
How do you think it went?
I think it went okay. I always have it where I always panic and overthink every single job interview I've done. I've never thought I've gotten, and I always have. So hopefully this will be the same.
If Matteo were to become your boss, how would you find working with him in particular?
I think he's great. I feel like he'd give me too many of those little quizzes now to do every single morning. But I'm up for the challenge. I think it'd be great.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for coming in, and best of luck.
Thank you.